It's about time, isn't it? Salutations Cinematicus, I'm Darkest101 and it's been a while, hasn't it? You'd almost assume I was dead again, as if I'd been disemboweled by raptors. No, I am just fucking stupid apparently. So, this is something I've been wanting to do for a while. After nearly 5 years of waiting, I can actually say that God of War has at last finally been released. Last year, almost. Look, I am shit at this, okay? I'm only human, cut me a little slack. The point of the matter is that God of War has been released, and after being hyped for the game's release since E3 2016, I felt a little nostalgic. So, with that in mind, I went back and played the original God of War games again.
I've not slept in 72 hours!
And in the time I've not slept, I came to a realization. Sleep is important. But then I also came to another realization. I really want to go back and review the God of War games again. Now, there are a couple of reasons why I wanted to go back and review the God of War games again. First and foremost among those reasons being, fuck you, I do what I want. But I went back and looked at my old God of War reviews, particularly the rapid fire reviews I did for Ghost of Sparta, Chains of Olympus and Ascension. I went backwards there, I have no idea why. And those reviews don't exactly age very well. Apart from anything else, they don't reflect my opinions of the games anymore. And yeah, I feel like I need to update those. Now, to save a bit of time, instead of going through the entire franchise again, game by game, I thought I would split it up into two trilogies, what I affectionately refer to as the Redemption Trilogy and the Exile Trilogy. The first of these trilogies will be focusing on God of War, Chains of Olympus, and Ascension, with the second taking a look at Ghost of Sparta, God of War 2, and God of War 3. So with that in mind, let's go back and review the original God of War again. Oh yes, the very first God of War. So, real talk, I probably would have had no inclination to buy the God of War franchise had I not had my original PS3 nicked by some gobshite burglars. So I really have to thank the game store clerk who recommended I get the PS3 bundle that came with all three main series games. Seriously, I have no idea what your name was or where the hell even you are now, but thank you so much you introduced me to this fucking cracker of a game series. So on the one hand, I got my PS3 stolen. On the other hand, I got introduced to this bearded bastard of a franchise. So you know, it all works out in the end. Psychotic is the only word I can use to describe this game because holy shit, that's a lot of blood, dismemberment, and death going on in this game. Like, so much blood. So much death. I love it. Even if the stabbing animation of a Minotaur is just the most mid-2000s game thing I've ever seen. I mean, look at the way it spins on its back to get to the right camera angle. Look at that. How can you look at that and see that and take it anywhere close to serious? Answer is, you can't take that image seriously, especially if I put merry-go-round music to it. Anyway, janky animations aside, this game does have some fantastic combat. The combat of God of War is all based around controlling typically large groups of enemies using long chains of various combo moves, with Kratos' signature weapons, the Blades of Chaos. These combos are made up of various strings of light attacks and heavy attacks. Kratos also does have a grapple at his disposal to grab weakened enemies and dispatch them with a brutal kill animation, which I will now display using Reach for the Stars by S Club 7, because fuck tone. Nothing quite like a cool, refreshing glass of ULTRAVIOLENCE! Anyhow, the grapple can be the most fun aspect of the game when it works, leading to a brief quick-time event where you brutally dispatch everything from Minotaurs to Gorgons to Cyclops. But sometimes the grapple just does not want to work. Like, you go to grab a obviously weakened Minotaur and he just shrugs you off. Essentially, half of the time you're running up to injured enemies and it looks like you're just trying to hug them better. Your attempts at hugging are rebuffed. It's a damn shame too. If a lot of people loved each other, the world would be a better place. An additional element to the combat in the God of War series is the all too familiar rage mechanic. By dealing damage and receiving damage, Kratos will build up the Rage of the Gods, which when activated will take the killing machine that is Kratos and overclock the shit out of him, giving him increased attacking power, new combos, and a really cool electric blue aura. It's a useful tool to cut through waves of enemies like fleshy butter. That, by the way, is flesh made out of butter and not butter made out of flesh. Butter made out of flesh really changes the atmosphere at a dinner party, I've found. The gods don't just give Kratos their rage, however. I mean, he already has so much, he doesn't need to be given any more. As you progress through the story, various gods will give Kratos various types of different magic to add an extra layer to the combat. Poseidon gives Kratos an area of effect blast that electrocutes enemies caught inside the zone. Zeus bestows him with the ability to throw lightning at enemies at range. Hades allows him to summon the souls of the underworld to attack nearby enemies. And Aphrodite pretty much traps you in a room with Medusa and tells you to kill her. I mean, I can understand why the bitch is a little bit salty. I mean, she is made from the sea foam of a severed nutsack falling into the ocean. Greek mythology, everybody! A three-headed dog guards the gate to the underworld, the father of the gods was tricked into eating a fucking rock, and Zeus just can't keep it in his fucking pants! You also get a big badass sword from Artemis, which you can use instead of your Blades of Chaos. It does a lot more damage to enemies, but it's also a hell of a lot slower and doesn't have anywhere near the range that the blades do. You also lose access to the kill animations from the grapple mechanic, but that's because you essentially just cut the head off every enemy you go to grapple, so, you know, you win some, you lose some. And of course, there's one thing that cannot be avoided when it comes to talking about the God of War games. The boss fights, which in this game is a grand total of 3. 3 boss fights. This is God of War we're talking about, yeah? Well, quantity may be lacking, but quality certainly isn't. The bosses in God of War are fucking amazing. Throughout the whole series, the bosses are pretty great. Maybe a few lows here and there, but they usually range from jaw-dropping spectacles that turn basic levels into the most cinematic war possible, to technical slugfests that turn your thumbs and fingers into knots trying to plunge foot-long flaming blades of carnage into pulpy soft flesh. And I made it weird, didn't I? I do that a lot. Seriously though, the beginning of the game starts with Kratos cutting his way through basic ass enemies, the best around. Nothing's ever gonna keep him down, and then out of nowhere, surprise bitch, boss fight! Mind you, the first section of the game against the Hydra has literally no connection to the rest of the story and the progress of the franchise. It's just like a really fucking cool cold open. Like, what more do you need? The story of the first God of War game really begins with Kratos being tasked by the gods of Olympus to travel to Athens and kill Ares, the God of War, get it? On their behalf. Which, as we'll find out later on in the game, is a pretty smart play. You want to kill a god, you may as well send someone who has some serious beef with said god. And let me tell you, Kratos ain't nothing but beef. I mean, have you seen his arms? You could feed a family of 7 with the meat from those biceps. It's only after arriving in Athens that Kratos is told that going toe-to-toe with a god as he is right now probably is not going to end well for him. Especially considering the fact that one of Ares' toes would most definitely crush him to a thin red paste. Not even a contest, no amount of chainsaws is going to even that playing field. And it ain't like Kratos can just chug a gallon of power first and be good to go. He has got to kick it up a level or 10. So Kratos is ultimately a little stuck when he arrives in Athens, as he has absolutely no idea how to kill Ares as he is, before he's contacted by the Oracle of Athens and orders him to come find her at her temple. She could have easily told Kratos the direction he was supposed to be going was in fact the opposite way to where she was, but hey, maybe she just wanted a bit of the god bod. If you've seen him, I'd hit it. And I think Athena might want to be more specific about her instructions to Kratos in the future, because if she really wanted her city shaved, she should have really told Kratos that, because all he is focused on is killing the god of war as violently as possible. And let's just add any creature in his way and the entire populace of Athens to that list of victims as well, because I'm pretty sure Kratos is killing more people than Ares at this point. So, where does Kratos have to go in order to kill Ares? The convenient desert that is within walking distance of the city, of course. Game design! Video game logic aside, Kratos does need to go to this conveniently placed sandbox in order to retrieve Pandora's box, within which lay the power to kill a god. But first, we have to walk through the desert of lost souls. Yeah, I still hate this place, if you can believe. So, let's explain again, for anyone who didn't see my first review, why this area is absolute arse. God of War is typically linear in its progression. It has pathways and corridors that it funnels you down in order to progress the story, with a few side areas for secrets and stuff, and obviously there are arenas that crop up every now and again, where you can just absolutely batter the piss out of everything you bloody well see. The Desert of Lost Souls is none of these things. It's an arena, technically, but one much bigger than any other in the game. An arena where your vision is almost constantly obscured so you can barely see anything, with barely any landmarks for you to orientate yourself about the place, and just about the most constant wind blowing through your speakers. Why does this matter? Why does the wind matter? Because you don't need to kill all the enemies in order to make it through this arena. No, you need to navigate this arena with reduced visibility and a scarce number of landmarks in order to find 3 specific siren enemies whose only indication of proximity is the sound of their voices, which is kind of difficult because, as I mentioned earlier, you have all 4 spirits of the fucking wind pissing in your ear, and is made even worse by the fact that 2 of these skinny bitches decide today's a great day to go for a fucking glide around the desert. Hey ladies, whilst you're at it, go see if there's a fucking donkey ride going on. So, I will repeat this line because it's still really fucking accurate. The Desert of Lost Souls is an arena in God of War that has the capacity to turn any sane, rational, normal human being
Into the goddamn choker!
So anyway, after not succumbing to total insanity, Kratos arrives at the Temple of Pandora, which is chained to the back of the Titan Kronos. And once Kratos is at the temple, he begins to take part in such wonderful amenities, such as Greece's toughest obstacle course, set the course record as no one's made it across alive yet. Centaur petting zoos, be careful, they kick. Pull the head off of the corpse, collect all 3 and win a prize. Bull riding, and yeah, no, that's pretty accurate, not gonna lie. And if you get through the Temple of Pandora's gauntlets of literally every trap you can think of, you win their special prize, Pandora's box, filled with all the worst things in the world and the power to kill a god. Buffet was vegetarian, no clean towels, and sand got stuck in my ears. And 1 star on TripAdvisor. In all honesty, Pandora's Temple is a prime example of God of War's stellar level design, puzzles, and storytelling, both direct and indirect. The obvious mental degradation of the temple's architect as his labour to the gods claims his children, his wife, and himself. The sheer number of people who die trying to get this goddamn box. And of course, Kratos' tragic backstory, revealed to us in flashbacks, of how Kratos, the young, ambitious Spartan general, sold his soul to Ares, the god of war. How as a servant of Ares, Kratos killed all enemies to the war god. How Ares tricked Kratos into slaughtering the population of a town dedicated to worshipping Athena, and how that included Kratos' own wife and daughter. And how Kratos was in that moment cursed to forever bear the ashes of his wife and child, bonded to his skin, marking him forever as the Ghost of Sparta. So if anyone ever says to you that God of War only just started being deep, you can go right ahead and slap them. Slap them really hard. Slap them as hard as Ares slaps Kratos right here. There you see, it's the only appropriate punishment for someone who just said that God of War only just started being deep. So Kratos ends up in Hades, which apparently is just a bottomless pit with a series of giant skeletons supporting big boulders for the lucky ones to scramble over and declare themselves king of the Bone Zone, I'm assuming. Or at least until Hades gets completely and utterly bored with how this version of Hades looks and decides to redecorate, which he does literally every game. The journey through Hades is unremarkable as Kratos somehow reaches the end of the fucking underworld and just finds a rope dangling from the world of the living. And he climbs that shit. He escapes the land of the dead by just climbing a rope out of a grave. Well, alright then, I know what my escape plan is for when I inevitably get sent to hell. So apparently it's against the law to start digging up graves, even when you explain very logically to the police officer in question, you're just trying to find your own way out of hell. And now I can't leave the house for a month. Hooray! Kratos climbs from the underworld and ends up back in Athens, which has been completely and utterly buggered by Ares and his army. Kratos, however, never really cared exactly about saving the people of Athens, as we saw earlier, and just runs through the ruins to find Ares with Pandora's box, conveniently. And he also waits patiently as Kratos wades out to where Ares drops the box so that he can open it. He's polite like that. Actually, you know what? Screw what I just said. Ares is probably really fucking bored. It's probably been a while since he's had a decent fight. Also, I think I know the real reason why Aphrodite was so reluctant to help kill Ares. Like, seriously, she probably had to weigh up each one of those cons to killing Ares right there. Well, on the one hand, he's a serious asshole with a massive temper issue, and if I don't help kill him, I'll just get shitty looks at Athena's stupid book club. On the other hand, he knows how to handle a woman better than half of the gods up here, and nothing gets me hotter than rusty spider dragon swords. The fight with Ares is broken up into 3 parts. The first part is the slugfest between God and mortal, with Kratos using every power he has to kick the shit out of Ares and his stupid face. Once at low enough health, Ares will transport Kratos into a nightmare realm where he ends up confronting himself. An entire army of himself attacking his wife and daughter. And why the hell does his wife and daughter have the button over their heads, which is the over-the-top death button? Aww, that's sweet! Isn't that sweet?
Yeah, bro,
He's such a lovely family man.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, apart from the fact he murdered them.
Well, yeah.
But still, aww. After a while, Ares gets bored of teasing Kratos like that and robs him of all his magic and uses the Blades of Chaos to kill Kratos' family all over again, robbing Kratos of all hope. That is, until Kratos spots a nearby bridge in the shape of a sword and uses that as his weapon in the final confrontation with the God of War, avenging his family and all the others he killed in the god's name as he goes actually fucking nuclear. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the opening to Fallout 76. Of course, this happy ending isn't how we find Kratos about to kill himself at the game's prologue. Turns out, the nightmares he wants to escape aren't what the gods want to take away from Kratos, only the sins of his past. They also want to award him the position of God of War because there is apparently a vacancy. This is the man with a proven history of murdering gods and conquering nations in the name of his homeland. I'm sure awarding that type of person the abilities of godhood will in no way backfire. The first God of War is the perfect base plate that the rest of the franchise would be built upon. Solid core gameplay and design aesthetic, combat that, while a small bit junky at times, still feels tight and responsive in a lot of ways, and a story that, despite what anyone tells you, is still a story of tragedy and revenge. It's a classic of the PlayStation 2 in a lot of ways, and I refuse to let anyone shit on its memory. So, yeah, shoot me if you want, but I still fucking love the new God of War. It was a fantastic way to kick off a franchise, and that's why it's getting a revised Dark rating of 84.
I was trying to make you a great warrior. You succeeded.
Oh, you think we're done? Oh, we still have 2 more games to carry on with. Let's fucking get straight on with Chains of Olympus. So who would have thought this would have been a thing? I sure as shit didn't when I picked up the franchise. I had absolutely no idea that Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta were things when I got that awesome bundle. A God of War prequel on the PlayStation Portable? Yeah, that's a recipe for success. And it kind of was, actually. I mean, okay, the design of the game comes across as a little blurry around the edges at times, but it's still a solid looking game with various sections of the story having a distinct colour theme that separates them aesthetically. Gameplay wise, it's also a solid God of War game despite working with fewer button inputs than the console versions. I mean, you work with less magic in this game and you don't have full access to the rage mechanic from the first game, but you do have a fully functioning parry and reflect mechanic that was implemented in God of War. So let's talk about the shit you get in God of War Chains of Olympus. In Chains of Olympus, your magic extends to the Efreet, a flaming area of effect blast attack, the Light of Dawn, a ranged ball of fire that you can lob at enemies, and Charon's Wrath, a single blast of green fire that hits multiple enemies. Fire is a sort of motif, I guess you could say, with regards to Chains of Olympus, for reasons that will be made obvious later on. Kratos also gets the Shield of Helios, which he can use to block enemy attacks. If the block is timed at the right moment, Kratos can parry an enemy strike and deliver a countering attack, as well as reflect back enemy projectiles. And as with every God of War game, you get an additional weapon to spice up the gameplay. In Chains of Olympus, this weapon is the Gauntlet of Zeus, a single gauntlet literally the size of Kratos. It's heavy and the combos are pretty slow, but it does do a lot of damage. It also plays rather differently to the blade, so there's that as well as some of the enemies in the game having armor that can only be destroyed by the gauntlet. So that's everything new that Chains of Olympus brings to the table. So with that in mind, let's look at the story. Oh boy, this is an odd one, I'll let you know that right off the bat. Much like how the Hydra was our gateway into the God of War from the first game, the Basilisk attack has much the same purpose in Chains of Olympus. I mean, apart from a simple puzzle that literally stumped me for 20 minutes, no, I am not joking, look at how fucking stupid I am, completely missing this fucking box right here. I spent 20 minutes on this goddamn puzzle, and I fucked it up. I don't know how. It's basic as fuck. So whilst I was fucking that up, the Basilisk attack is your standard God of War opening boss fight, though it's appropriately scaled down for a prequel story. I mean, it is destroying a city rather than a fleet, but the Hydra was physically much bigger. Anyway, we've spent way too long talking about this boss that has literally nothing to do with the rest of the story. Let's move on. Let's move on. I'm not eager to move on because it highlighted my stupidity. We're not just skipping over this because it completely showed I am a fucking idiot sometimes. Not at all. Let's move on. The real story begins when the sun falls out of the sky as Helios has gone missing. With the sun god gone, and the light of the sun gone with him, the god Morpheus appears to be the only one with any real power left, putting Kratos on a time limit to find Helios and save the world of God and man from eternal slumber. Which, you know that sense of scale that I praised the Basilisk fight for? That's gone. Kratos' search for Helios leads him into the underworld where, hey, Hades has done some remodeling. Or, since this is a prequel, I guess he will do some remodeling? This is confusing, I'm moving. Exploring the underworld, Kratos gets tossed into the pit of Tartarus where, as he climbs his way back out, he discovers that somebody has released the Titan Atlas. Keeping that in the back of his head, Kratos returns to the underworld proper and then promptly forgets exactly what he just saw. You know, the thing that made him stop and breathe out.
Who would release such evil?
Kratos. Kratos has literally done a double take. And he's immediately forgotten the thing that made him do a double take. What the fuck could you have seen that made you do a double take like that?
It almost seemed an apparition.
Calliope!
Alright then, yeah, see your long dead daughter again, that would probably do it. You get a free pass. So Kratos spends the next 30 minutes running through one of Hades' many palaces, chasing after his long dead daughter Calliope, who is just merrily playing a flute, and in no way, shape or form would be in any real danger from the randomly spawning enemies and Gorgon head traps. You know, this is exactly the kind of self-centered ignorance I'd expect from a child Calliope's age. No sense of self-preservation, no care in the actual world what the fuck's actually going on, just do. Fucking kids, man. It's at the edge of the fields of Elysium that Kratos loses sight of Calliope again, which, side note, why the flying fuck would you even allow the people who live there the option of leaving? Isn't the underworld a constantly shifting hellscape of monsters and fuckpits designed to either maim the sinners or just let those who lived a boring life stand and do fuck all for eternity? It's honestly kind of refreshing to go back into the general bits of Greek mythology knowledge I pulled from when I was in primary school, which I don't know, I'll be about 11. So, you know. Anyway, Kratos loses track of Calliope, like how we've just lost track of this fucking adventure. Weren't we looking for Helios? Instead, we've found Persephone. The only way we could be further off the mark is if we bumped into Diana. Or maybe Artemis. They're both moon goddesses, right? And now we've lost track of the review, which means we've lost track of 3 things in as many minutes. What the fuck is going on? Anyway, Kratos decides he's done with following orders from the gods, gives up his powers and his sins to rejoin Calliope in Elysium. Oh, and it turns out that Persephone was 100% the bad guy. Who saw that coming? Like, seriously, who the flying fuck saw that coming? Like, maybe if it was Morpheus, the god we've heard so much about and had an entire section in the game dedicated to the fact that, hey, if someone doesn't stop this fuckery, Morpheus is going to rule everything, it might make a little bit more sense, but no. Persephone's the bad guy. And she's also the one who freed Atlas. And she's also the one who kidnapped Helios. And now Atlas is using Helios like a giant goddamn brick to knock the supports of the world out from underneath it to crush everything because she's just so sick of being a stay-at-home goddess for Hades. Okay, so my main issue, it's not Persephone suddenly being the bad guy. It's not this coming out of left field. It's my main issue is how the flying fuck does Hades not know about any of this shit going on? Like, how does Hades not pay attention to the wife he literally kidnapped? You know, because Hades was the original nice guy. How does he not know she's doing all of this shit behind his back? Like, is he just on the, like, ancient Greek equivalent of Twitter? The Greek god version of that? He's just, like, that's on the shitter, just going through Twitter, like, Aphrodite and Hephaestus is still married, despite the fact she's fucked Ares behind his back for the 50th night in a row. Apollo's posting more shitty poetry again. Alright then, I've been on Twitter enough. Time to go check on my wife. Oh, Persephone, darling, we talked about this! I don't think that's happening. Anyway, so in order for Kratos to beat Persephone, because clearly Hades ain't doing it right, Kratos must regain the inhumanity he had before entering Elysium, because if he doesn't, Atlas will destroy the world above and below, and basically grant Persephone's long-standing wish for death. Before he can do that, though, he must deal with the 8-year-old clinging to his leg. Now, I get that this is a very emotional moment. It's a tragic, deeply fueled, emotional-filled moment. Kratos has to sacrifice his daughter for the good of the world, and sacrifice any chance he has of ever being with her again. It's a very tragic and touching moment. The game, however, symbolises this tragedy in the most unintentionally hilarious thing I have seen in a video game in ages. Oh, you think press F to pay respect was bad? You think press X to Jason was hilarious? Well, try button mash circle to abandon your fucking daughter. I swear, this made me laugh harder than anything else in recent memory. I don't even understand why it's so funny to me. Like, if that makes me a bad person... No, I'm a bad person. Yeah, I should just accept the fact that there is a special place in hell reserved just for me. So, after that unintentionally hilarious shit, it's time for the final fight between Kratos, Persephone, and Atlas. All things considered, it's a pretty good boss fight against Persephone, with Atlas adding a new element to the typical boss fight mechanics. Although I will admit, the first time I fought Persephone, the music did glitch out on me, and things got awkward. You can't kill a god and not have some epic music playing. Although if I were smart, I would have recorded commentary for the game, and then just played Indestructible by Disturbed when the music cut out. Would that be appropriate? Would that be... He's fighting the goddess of fertility, for fuck's sake. It's not like it's going to be a challenge. So Kratos chains Atlas to the underworld ceiling, and then gives Persephone what I like to call a cunt punt. It's like a cock shot, but when aimed at a woman. And like a cock shot, she goes down straight after and goes nuclear because there ain't nothing funny about a cunt punt. And that nuclear explosion is the start of Fallout 4. The big god explosion blows the top of the tower off, and Atlas ends up having to hold the rest of the world on his shoulders, and then Kratos leaves the underworld because I'm sure Hades will have absolutely no problem with the fact that Kratos murdered his wife, who he put so much effort into kidnapping. Greek mythology, everybody, where everything is just fucking effed up in the A, which, yeah, that kind of just describes this game, actually. While Chains of Olympus is still a great looking installment into God of War franchise with some cool bosses, great gameplay and a few nice ideas, its story is... I was going to say it's a little all over the place, but no, it's a lot all over the place. Now, that's not enough to knock it too far down, but at the same time, the late game reveal of Persephone being the villain just kind of came out of left field. The story just kind of lurches from different settings and plot points with barely any connective tissue. Despite a few nitpicks here and there, God of War Ascension is a worthy entry into the God of War series. I mean, it does kind of lurch all over the place a little bit, and the Tartarus section of the game does go on for a little bit longer than I really think it should, but I think Chains of Olympus is deserving of a dark rating of at least 72.
The walls of Tartarus would not hold Atlas, and they would not hold me either.
And with that, we have one more game to go through, God of War Ascension. Before I say anything else about this game, can I just say how fucking good it looks? Like, oh my god, this game looks amazing. Like, just look at this opening scene with Kratos. You can almost count the pores in his skin. That's how fucking good it looks. There is just so much detail in this game. It's amazing. Like, Santa Monica will take their time making a game, given how there's like 3 years between God of War 3 and God of War Ascension when these games were released. But, oh wow, you can be guaranteed that their games will look phenomenal. I won't be talking about the multiplayer this time around either. I mean, it's fun, I guess, but I've never really been good at PvP, so I wouldn't be able to tell you if it was simply ultra technical and I'm just bad at playing it, or if it's a broken, unbalanced piece of garbage. I'm beginning to think that it was me that was the unbalanced, broken piece of garbage, because God of War Ascension changed a couple of things in how the game plays. For one thing, the game is way more unforgiving in terms of how precise the combat must be. Which is kind of reflected in the fact that instead of rotting undead warriors that typically make up the chaos fodder of these games, the main enemies are satyrs, which are the most spammy blockers in the entire franchise. Seriously, for someone who plays these games as aggressively as I do, enemies that block constantly fuck with me so bad. Especially considering the parrying in this game has to be frame perfect almost. The rage mechanic for this game also works completely differently. Instead of being imbued with super soldier strength and damage that you can build up and hold until you want to use it, it's now a single-use special attack that can only be held for a short amount of time before the rage meter decreases again. You also don't get a single alternate unique weapon for this game, which is a first for the God of War franchise. And the magic works differently. I mean, you get it, but it's all magic that's just applied to the Blades of Chaos. The magic in this game applies different elemental effects to the blades, one for each of the multiplayer gods, if you're wondering. Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, and Ares, and they give you the elemental boost you expect respectively. Lightning, ice, life drain, and fire. They also change up how the blade combos work and give different bonuses as well as charged up range attacks. But here's the dumb thing. You only get the rage and magic attacks at base for the Fire of Ares, the first magic attack you receive. Every other magic, you need to upgrade them all to max. So, the mechanic that set the precedent does not follow the precedent. Every other magic you need to upgrade them all to max. So there I am with my new Poseidon's ice magic, and I'm pressing the R2 button like a goddamn idiot, wondering why I'm getting my butt kicked. So that's everything that was changed, that probably should have really just been left well enough alone. Now let's talk about the positive changes to God of War Ascension. I'm honestly in love with the long-range grapple ability. The ability to just pick an enemy, lob the Blades of Chaos at them, and then throw them into someone else. Amazing. Or you could just smash them with one of the world weapons, which are a new thing in this game. You can find various weapons just lying around that you can pick up and beat the shit out of people with. There's 10 in all, and I just used the standard sword, but to each their own. The introduction for promptless murder sessions is also a nice touch. There's not many of them, but for what they're worth, they're pretty neat. And then we have the artifacts. As you play the game, you collect 3 magic artifacts that are used in various ways. The Amulet of Ouroboros, which can be used in a good number of fun time manipulation puzzles, which are pretty nifty, and also creates a bubble of slow-mo in combat. The Oath Stone of Orkos, which creates a duplicate of Kratos for some basic physics puzzles and also kicks the crap out of bad guys in the middle of a fight. And the Eyes of Truth, which, pretty late game, don't do much except story-related stuff, and also act as a concussive blast in a fight. And One last little thing, one weird detail. The game tries its hardest to be as cinematic as possible, I think, so they throw in these sliding off sections where Kratos grinds his way down sheer cliffs to get speedily from one place to another, which, if I'm honest, I don't think they achieved the prompt here, guys. I get the feeling that it was meant to come off as kind of like but it comes off more like this.
Rolling around at the speed of sound. Got places to go, gotta follow my rainbow.
You know, it's not really a complaint, it's just, you know, I can sort of see where they were going, but I just couldn't help but sing like songs from Sonic the Hedgehog instead. Ascension's story is told slightly out of order. It starts off with the beginning of the third act, with Kratos captured by the Furies a few weeks after he broke his bond with Ares, after he tricked Kratos into killing his family. Trapped in the prison of the damned, the game begins with the classic God of War gigantic boss battle between Kratos and the Fury Megaria, who basically turns the entire prison, not the prisoners, the prison itself, into a weapon to kill Kratos with. But we all know how that song and dance goes. However, while the fight against the Hecatoncheires is a pretty cool opening boss fight, this is the part of the franchise where the gigantic boss battle opening, it starts getting a little bit of a tired idea at this point. Anyway, saving thoughts like that for the conclusion, after killing Megaria, Kratos flashes back to 3 weeks before, when he was set on a path to free himself from being haunted by the Furies by Orcos, who tells him that the answer lies in the Oracle of Delphi. After a not so long journey, Kratos discovers that the Furies made a pact with Ares to fulfill a prophecy that was the downfall of Olympus, and that to keep his mind from their visions, he needs the Eyes of Truth, something that is later reaffirmed by Orcos when we run into whom later. Hold up. If Orcos knew we needed the eyes, why did we have to go for the fucking Oracle first? I mean, essentially, us going to go find the Oracle to get this, like, told to us, all that basically does is get her killed. What even the fuck? Anyway, moving right along, Kratos then arrives at the statue of Apollo, where he has to steadily assemble the giant statue using the amulet of the Ouroboros to revert time whilst also fighting off the agents of the Furies. Once the statue is assembled, Kratos then has to complete the trial of Archimedes to retrieve the eyes, which leads to a side note. That side note is me coming back to the question of whether or not this game is much more technical than the other games, or if it's just an unbalanced, broken piece of shit. That being summarised in the fact that I got so angry in the trial of Archimedes, I broke my PS3 controller. That is not even an exaggeration. I threw this thing so hard it broke. And then, when I got my new controller, I beat it first time. So, do with that information what you will. Anyway, Kratos is then captured by the Furies, which leads to present day, where he has to fight Tisiphone and Alecto, which happens in a big boss fight that isn't really that big because really it's all happening in Kratos' mind because illusions, and then Kratos kills them both, escapes, and then has to kill Orcos as well because the Furies just suck. And that's God of War Ascension. Did I sound boring with the story? And guess what? It's because I was. This brings me back to that opening boss fight. The really cool one, the epic one, the one that felt really tired. The whole game feels like that. This was the 7th giant opening boss fight. The 7th time Kratos cuts through swathes of enemies. The 7th main series God of War game. Is it technically sound? Of course. Does it look great? Honestly, the series has never looked better. But everything about this game feels very paint by numbers. Fight giant monster, have giant boss fights, have puzzles. It felt like it lacked any real heart and soul to it, which, for a game claiming to bring a soul of a very human Kratos to us, feels like a major misstep. God of War Ascension is still a great game. It's a God of War game, for fuck's sake. But it feels like the fire died at this point. It is the 7th major game in this franchise. I mean, the perfect way to describe it is, like I said earlier, it's paint by numbers. It's like we're following a pattern. And that is why God of War Ascension gets a dark rating of 67.
Of all the minds in question, mine is not the one to worry about.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our first replay review of the God of War franchise. Stay tuned for next time where we tackle God of War 2, 3 and Ghosts of Sparta. Until then, I'm Darkest101. Thank you for watching Darkest101 Reviews. Thanks for watching. Happy fucking nightmares.